Alright, full on reboot. Alright, there we go. It is fixed. No, you cannot give coins. But you can earn coins just by hanging out. So the first raffle of the night is going to be a $25 GameStop gift card.
Bueller.
Oops. Rick. Okay, guess what? You got a GameStop gift card coming right now. You guys ready? Keep in mind, I'm gonna spam. Anytime you see a 1 coin raffle, or by the way, if you ever see me say anything in World Chat about a raffle, it means it's 1 coin. You just go on congregate and enter the card code when you select that as a payment method. That's why we have to use 25, because it's the only option. It's really easy. So you go on congregate.com, you put in the card code that I send you, and you use it for coins or gems. For the new people out there, all you need to do is do exclamation raffle. You just need to be a subscriber. probably stream a while tonight. I don't know. I'd like to get Zero his set, so I'll probably stream until we get Zero his set at least. If anybody's having trouble entering the raffle, and most likely it's because you have Keep Subscriptions Private set on your YouTube. So Bad Guy Kitten needs to see that you're subscribed in order to be able to enter you in the raffle. So make sure Keep Subscription Private is not set. If you do exclamation priv, you can see the steps. Yeah, we're gonna run some Sasquatch Chronicles a little bit later. I'd like to wait a little bit though. Yeah, definitely remember to save. When you uncheck Keep Subscription Private, you gotta hit save at the bottom. And then you'll see your name pop on screen. Bad Guy Kitten is gonna call you out once you subscribe. You'll get 5 coins when you subscribe, and you can enter the raffle. You just do exclamation raffle, that's it. Can you, Jeff? I have several glasses, more like a bottle at this point. It's Friday night. We had some guests over. Kids were playing. The wine is flowing. Now everybody's pretty much asleep. It's about 12:30 here. Now the big kids get to play. Leg drop. We had a couple different bottles tonight. That reminds me, there's a really cool app, Vivino. What I like about this app, it's on your phone, right? And you can see the price of a bottle of wine by scanning the label. So this app called Vivino, V-I-V-I-N-O, I think it is, in the App Store. You install the app, you take a picture in the app of a bottle of wine, the label on a bottle of wine, and it does a look against the wine database, and it'll tell you what the street price is for the wine. What's really helpful about it is if you go to dinner, you can take a shot of the wine list, and you can know if you're being totally robbed. You can know if you're being totally robbed for a bottle of wine. If they're charging like 30 bucks for a $5 bottle of wine. So, and also you can get a good idea of what wines you like. It helps you do profiles and stuff. So, anyway, I have no affiliation with Vivino, but I found it the other day and was like pretty well impressed. Yeah, I'm good with double, but when you see a $5 bottle of wine for like 35 or 40 bucks, I'm not good with that. I'm even good with triple, like 5 to 15, okay. 5 to 10, okay. Nice. I haven't seen that bat. I'll check it out. Yeah, I wish I could get some French wine here, man. By the way, yeah, if everybody likes the video, if everybody hits the like button, you guys get 1,000 coins for every 10 likes. So, do it up. Hey, I've got nothing against Tupac Chuck. Charles Shaw. What's up, Drake? How you doing, brother? I think we did. I like red wine, usually. Dry white wine. Dry or, yeah, white wine. Kind of a red. I'm good with reds. To be honest, I probably wouldn't know if the wine was blended by the time I drank it. I'm by no means a wine connoisseur. You know, I can tell you if I like a wine based on its finish. I like a smooth finish to a wine. You know, that's pretty much... That's how I judge. Now, you won't even know when they blend wine, though. Oh, guess what? Zero got his set. Zero got his set. So, guess what we get to do with Zero Crash right now? Guess what we get to do with Zero Crash right now? I'm gonna switch screens really quick. And we are gonna do a T7 upgrade for Zero. So first of all, let's pull up his TS really quick. First of all, Zero Crash was a freaking monster. He had some crazy TS. Before T7s came out, he was a freaking monster. And now, we just got our set. So, you guys are probably seeing double, because, anyway, it just is that way. Now, we're going to go in and exchange these two T6 sets. That wine is really talking. Damn. There we go. Exchange these puppies. And this is what we were after, with these damn Jade Lodestones. And now, hopefully, we get to reforge Eclipse Barrier and Maelstrom. Let's do it. Let's go to the bottom. And what do we see? T7 Maelstrom. Reforge. Oh yeah. And T7 Eclipse Barrier. Wah wah wah. Dark Iron Ingot. I need to go exchange this other T7 set that I have. There we go. Now we can do it. There we go. Let's do our upgrades with our bits. And let's get these guys fully upgraded. Let's get Zero. Let's return Zero to his magnificence. Zero was a beast. It's time to be back as a beast. Zero. It's time to reclaim your top 10 spot in the TS leaderboard, Zero. It is time. And we are now done with our upgrades. And let's take a look at our TS really quick. Make sure we're looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and reset stats really fast. Get us on point. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. Welcome back, Zero. Welcome back. Welcome back to the top 10. Let's go quickly check out our leaderboard. Top 10 just squeaked in. Squeaked in. There we go. Let's double check our level. Top 15 on level. Welcome back, Zero. Welcome back. What's crazy is nobody has ground the Zero Crash account for, what, 2 months, a month and a half at least, and he's still in the top 10 of TS. What the hell, man? Holy smokes. Yes, it is time to drop. Look at that beautiful TS in this party though. Oh my goodness. Look at that. 24-28. I'm just barely past him with how much I've ground in this game, and I feel like I've put in a lot of work. I'm only at 25-17. He's at 24-28. What a freaking monster. It's insane. Insane. Alright guys, it's time to drop. We're gonna do some T7 heroic world boss. It's time to put that energy to use. And I'm gonna switch off of tank, because my tank not OP. For real. I do not have the runes for that. It's time to switch back to DPS. .44 feet. Now what I need to do is get into my guild Discord and see exactly who is ready. Let's bust out a PvP or two while we wait, huh? Let's at least get our tickets back to natural regen state. I'm gonna drop some TS really quick while we're waiting on our compatriots. Oh man, this is when I wish I had gear profiles, because I want to switch back to tank right now. Bear with me while I click through. I really hope there's a developer watching right now. What I really want, developers, is I want profiles, gear profiles, and I want the ability to set gear, to set runes, to set enchants, to set the pet, and to reset my stats and set my stats for that gear profile. And I want to be able to save that gear profile with a label like DPS 577 health. tank. DPS 400 health. DPS with Quimby. Okay, damage reduce. Block. Damage reduce. Oh, nope. We're actually doing a deflect here. Right? Yes. We're going to switch up to item find. And we are now... Oops. We're going to do pumpkin. We're going to do leg pumpkin. Because we're crazy like that. Every time we get hit, we're attacking the whole enemy team for 367 to 857 for our turn, when we get hit, and when we hit. Let's do it. Alright. Do some PvP runs while we wait. And guess who I get to fight now? Guess who? Zero Crash. Is that even right? Probably not. I'm gonna roll Kiraz with 2 Masters. I don't even think I've played PvP with Zero. Yeah, and I immediately go. You know, tank is OP in PvP, guys, and you can see it right here. Tank is super OP. Oh my god, am I just gonna be able to farm Zero Crash now? That's not even right. That is not even right. Watch him kill me. That would suck. Let's add some tickets. Let's add some tickets. I hope that, oh man, this is broken, guys. I can actually PvP myself now. Oh my god. That's not even cool, I must admit. Hey, you guys caught it live with me, right? Like, Zero, first of all, just gained 142. Okay, there he goes. He's not in my list anymore. Woo! He'll probably be back though. But let's go into a Teiko Sushi. I felt pretty confident as a tank fighting any non-tank, to be honest. Because if you think about it, right now, as a tank in PvP, can your Astali really match the stats that I can get as a tank? Can you really match the gear and my pet with your Astali? Nope. Can you match him with your meaty? Nope. But Master, on the DPS side, can get pretty darn close to what a DPS could output, especially in 3v3. And tank is probably the most pivotal role in a PvP match, especially a 3v3 match. So, in all honesty, we should all be PvPing as tank. Guess what? About 1 minute, somebody's gonna win this raffle. I hope you're stoked. Gold coin. Gold coin.
Bueller.
Willy Waffles.
Bueller.
You gotta claim your prize, Willy. So Willy, all I need you to do is DM me on Discord, okay? And guess what? We're gonna kick off another raffle right now. You guys ready? Congratulations, Willie. I hope you get some cool stuff, and I hope it takes you super far. But what I need you to do is DM me on Discord, okay? Haha, congrats, Willie. Hey, Hoffers, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Grats on 0. A little something towards those gift cards hung out.
So we're gonna be tripling. We're gonna be tripling all the coin reward. So that's actually Hoffer's reward is 3,000 to everybody. Everybody give Hoffer some love. He's basically raining 3,000 coins on you guys.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Welcome back, Avid. I missed you, buddy. I think we still give the same reward for a responsor. We will burn those coins in raffles. We will, I'll tell you. Man, you know what's not right is I can basically PvP against 0 all day. So really that does nothing other than take my win rate way up, but still. I would prefer to use the energy on T7 Heroic, because guess what? I still need Bub. Bub is the last mythic that Kiraz does not have. I would really like to get Bub done. Yeah, let's continue to do 3,000 coins on new sponsors, because it should be a one-time event. Oh my god. Batraz.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
I need to take Batraz to dinner or something. Batraz. Let me know when you're in California, man. Oh, nice. Alright, I'll take your invite here shortly. Trust me, we're gonna burn those coins. I am ready, Bat. I'm ready. Send the invite. Actually, I'm not ready. Let me change gear. Yo, developers. I need some gear profiles. You know what, though? Let's give the developers some love, because what did they give us? They gave us item locks. We've been needing item locks for a long time. And they really busted their ass and gave us item locks. It's so good. So good. It's almost impossible to make a mistake now when recycling. Okay, I'm ready, Bat. What did they give us in the shop sale anyway? I didn't even look. Ugh. I really want them to keep offering us resources, to be honest. You know what? It's almost New Year's. I think it's time to switch my pet icon. I need to make use of that crazy freaking Buff Boy that eluded me for so long.
I'm seeing things that are still heart and arrow.
Alright, here we go. Buff Boy for the new year. Did they? What was the patch? More damage, huh? That's cool. You know what, Satma? I haven't seen it yet. I need to get into that. I've got a few sounds backed up. I think yours is still here, Rick. What was it? Oh, Rick, that sound was so dang long. We need to pick a shorter section of it.
Get to the chopper!
Yeah, you want to do that, Rick? I'm happy to reload it for you right now, or soon. I need to do the same thing with Satma here.
Ahoy!
Is anybody here new and from Steam release? I'm really interested to know how many people came from Steam, the Steam release. I'm actually wondering, like, did we gain some players from Steam? I was kind of thinking Steam was going to be a big deal and really bring in a lot of people. So far, I'm not really seeing that though. Noob trophy. No, that doesn't count. So we literally have nobody in the audience from Steam. That's really interesting. Oh, Kobe, what's up, buddy? Welcome. Well, you picked a good game, man. I'll tell you what, it's a bottomless pit, but it's a great pit. Oh, and we get a set drop. Come on, bub. Bring me a bub. Bring me a bub. We get a set drop reward. So what games have you played before, Kobe? And what made you find Bit Heroes? Or maybe, what did you find interesting about Bit Heroes? Ah, I see. Yeah, I was kind of looking, so I'm kind of like you, Kobe. I was kind of looking for like a dungeon crawler as well. I played some of those roguelike RPGs on mobile, and they weren't sticky enough for me. I wanted something with like more progression than a roguelike on mobile. This game definitely has a ridiculous amount of progression, and that's kind of what sucked me into it. I also felt like Bit Heroes was a lot like original like Diablo 2, where you had your character and you put on your equipment and you upgraded your equipment, and I really dug that there was no trade, actually. One One of the things that irritates me about with most of the other games out there is that there's a trade and there's an auction house, so you don't actually even need to actually play the game. You can just go to the auction house and get your stuff. I think it kind of ruins the grind. So I like that there was no trade. I like that there was progression on the character. I like that there was no quote-unquote level cap. The fact that the level cap is 870 and over 2 billion XP if you do max level in chat, it'll actually tell you. That to me is pretty damn interesting. If the devs could do one thing to this game, I've got a top 3 things. Of course, I can never just take one thing. But if the devs could do one thing to right today, right now, they would change the rewards in events from the top 1 or 2 players to the top 1% of players. So instead of the first 1 or 2 players getting a leg reward, depending on how many people participated in the event, it would be an average and it'd be a percent. The top 1% would get the reward. Now in theory that could be 10, 20, 30 could get the leg reward. As we start to see an expanding audience of the players, I can definitely see that being important. The other thing that I would immediately implement right away would be the fact that normal level would take no resources at all. If you want to play on normal, you could play all damn day, but you're not going to get anything for XP, your drops are going to kind of blow, and whatever. But you could grind all day. They would need to lower the amount of XP, and they would need to lower the item find rate in normal. But then you could just play to your heart's content. I think they should just let us grind all day. Just reduce the XP. Yeah, I mean, I do grind all day. It's pretty much a 18-hour day, usually. I mean, it probably wouldn't help me a whole lot because I would still grind on Heroic, but it would be nice to know that if I wanted to go free to play, I could play the game and not be waiting around.
You're OP.
Speaking of which, I need to hook up Willy Waffles here.
You're OP.
Hey, grats Unji on Garrick. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that noob trophy. I think the what you get for your gem spend is pretty low, to be honest. That's a super valid point you make, noob trophy. You cannot. It takes a crazy amount of gems if you want to grind the whole day. Yes, see? I'm telling you, everybody wants friend raffles. They don't care about these gift cards. My opinion on Meaty is that Meaty is amazing. He's my go-to tank now, to be honest. When I know I'm going to be taking significant damage. So the next gift card winner is just gonna need to ping me on Discord. And why is so that I can give you the link to the gift card. I agree with that, Kobe. You're kind of right. I do think that that's true. That's a very valid point. Both of your points are completely valid. It's true. Basically, the events currently are highest spend wins. The next raffle is going to be Mr. A Wookie, who we have not raffled in quite some time. We got some time. We're fighting blue. Let's pull up a Wookiee and take a look at his beautiful hairy self. The last time we raffled Wookiee, he was level 305. He's now 355. He's put on 50 levels since we last raffled. And almost a full 100 TS. And by the way, if you're looking for a good guild, Flavor of the Month is definitely a good one. Which guild? K? So K, yeah, and this brings up a good point. I normally don't want to do any recruiting messages or whatever, but if you're a player that wants to push level 500 and you want to put up crazy amount of grinding, basically hit me up on Discord, and if you're actually going to be doing that grinding and putting up those gains week after week and month after month and pushing to level 500 from wherever you are now, we're interested. Yeah, you basically don't want to be asking about the minimum. We want people that are going to be putting up 20 to 40 million a week. But that is not the requirement, it's just what we want. There is no requirement. I agree, Ski. I want some Sasquatch Chronicles too. I do. Let's get this gift card raffle done, and let's get our A-Wookiee raffle started, and then we'll kick it off. I'm gonna do a couple 10-minute raffles, so we're gonna kick off 10-minute raffles for Mr. A-Wookiee, our friendly Wikipedia. Yeah, I would say getting to top tier is pretty rough. If you could play for years free to play and not get to top tier. That's true. Guess what? AWRS has won the raffle. He does need to reply though, AWRS. You gotta say something here. Congrats, buddy. Okay, well, I need you to message me on Discord, okay? That's my Discord. I need you to send me a message, okay? And with that, we're gonna kick off a Mr. A-Wookiee. Mr. Wikipedia. And it's gonna be a 10-minute raffle, okay? Oh my god. Wookie has a 2-day kick timer. That's really friendly. Woohoo, Willie! That's awesome, Willie. Love it. I love it. Noob trophy, he probably deleted you so he could do some raffles here. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Hey, that's really nice of you, Kobe. Did everyone get 80K? I don't know about that. Holy smokes. I can't believe it's already 1:30. What the hell? Time flies. Let's do this. Kobe, can you message me on Discord? Actually, here. If you join the Discord, you could find me pretty easily in there. Man, Wookie, what if I'm asleep when New Year hits? I'll probably be grinding Bit Heroes. I probably will be. So I guess I need to reevaluate. Yeah, it's totally past my bedtime as well. But, you know, it's not that often we get to raffle Wookiee slots, so... Oh, that'd be funny. Out in California, we're super restricted on fireworks, actually. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, Bat. Although, I would prefer we save some slots and we send everybody to bed. Once I get your gift card, AWRS. There we go. Just came through. Alright, and AWRS now has his gift card, and guess what? Somebody is going to win a Wookiee.
Nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
It's because a droid don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that. Not wise to upset a Wookiee.
Man, Wookiee actually started our sounds too. That's funny. I remember the night Wookiee was like, "Hey, can you make it play a sound?" I was like, "I don't know if I can." The rest is history. What's up, insert name here? Yeah, let's do another 5-minute raffle. Although I'm gonna keep grinding. I'll probably keep grinding until about 2. Let's try and get that bub. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna grind all night, but I just don't want to grind on the PC though. We should do some Sasquatch Chronicles. Thank you for the reminder. Let's do that. So, Sasquatch Chronicles is kind of a... What it is, it's a show that interviews people that have first-hand experience running into these creatures. And it's basically interviews from people who have run into these creatures. Here we go.
Black thing go from left to right, and I thought, I'm gonna die out here. No one's ever gonna know.
Jesus Christ, you better... Sir? Zia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. Check us out online at SasquatchChronicles.com. If you've had an encounter, email me. My email address is wes@SasquatchChronicles.com. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you tonight.
And we got a winner. I'm late to the party. I was booting up some Sasquatch. Mike the Lord. And did he give us the IGN? He did. Congrats, buddy. Okay, the next raffle, gonna be 5 minutes, okay? Somebody's gonna win a Wookiee in 5 minutes. And guess who is it gonna be? Who is it gonna be? It's gonna be you!
Be speaking to Matt, and Matt, it comes to us from Oregon. He actually had 2 encounters, one in 2006 and then one in 2013 where he actually saw the creature. A very fascinating account, and I find it interesting that he ran into this creature. I think he said it was -5 degrees, and it really makes you wonder if Sasquatch has like a fat layer to where they don't get cold. Because I highly doubt that hair keeps them warm. It's interesting. I hear a lot of encounters where people run into these things out in the middle of nowhere when it's, -5, -20 degrees. and it really makes you wonder how they stay warm. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Hope you guys enjoyed the Christmas show. Those shows are always, I feel like they're too long, but I know, it's that time of year to where you can get your mind off things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too long for you guys. This will be my last show of the year, and I can't wait for 2018. I want to thank the members for making 2017 a great year. I've enjoyed all of your guys' comments, even FS's. Just giving you crap, FS. FS is kind of my thorn in my side, but anyway, FS, there's your shout out. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm sure I'll get a comment from FS after this. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's jump into it tonight. I want to welcome Matt to the show. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to have you on here. And I know you were, in your email, you mentioned you were on Finding Bigfoot. You had this boulder thrown at you. If you would, for the audience, and take as much time as you want, but would you tell us what happened? What were you out doing? And would you mind walking us into what you experienced, what you saw?
Yeah, so I've had all kinds of experiences with Bigfoot around here. Growing up in the valley, I knew all the trails and stuff fairly well. I ran cross country for many years, so we'd go run on these trails out on the west side of Hood River, Oregon, and just vast amount of trails up there, and there's really nothing to the west of Hood River until you get to Portland pretty much. So one summer evening, it was June 2006, me and some buddies were going to go do a night hike and go up to a certain point that's in a clear cut and just turn around from there. I think total round trip was 3 miles about. And one of my buddies who was with us has some weird, I had a buddy that liked to jump out at you. And so we started on our hike, and I hadn't seen him for a mile, and we're yelling at him, and pretty soon we start hearing a whistle, kind of not a tune, but just a little whistle call. And I whistled back, and it probably went a couple times back and forth, and that was coming from the gradual pitch of forest above us, and on the other side was the steep drop off, really steep, and right around the corner is the spot where we were going to turn around at, and we get there, and the whistles had gone away, and as we're coming back, we're yelling at my buddy, "Hey, all right, we're done playing, come on out," and not much sooner, we hear branches starting to break. And the buddy I was with, because there's 3 of us, looking at each other, and a huge boulder comes barreling through the bush, arm's length, a little above our heads, straight out, and we could see it right in our flashlights. And like the pitch where this boulder came from was really gradual. I mean, nothing. It didn't bounce off the cliff or anything. And this thing was thrown at a horizontal. I mean, this thing was launched, and we watched it bounce off down the cliffside and landed, and a few seconds later, vicious. I mean, you could see the bushes just swaying and breaking, and something was barreling down through the bush at us, and we did not wait around another second. I mean, we sprinted down the trail, and at this time we still hadn't seen our other buddy, and so I beat my friend who I was with, and got in the car, and we just start driving. And as we're driving, the guy that we lost in the beginning was running up the gravel road at us, and he jumps in. Immediately we start yelling at each other, and I thought he was playing a joke on us. And what was interesting is he thought we were playing a joke on him. He thought we were in the
We got a leg drop there. Everybody give Wookie some love for giving up all of his slots to the stream right now, man. That's basically letting you guys raffle.
Bushes, hitting trees with logs and with no flashlights on because he had his own Bigfoot experience. And so we're yelling at each other. Why'd you throw the rock at me? And he's like, why are you hitting logs against trees near me? And and I thought there's no way this guy who's pretty out of shape would ever beat me down from a dead sprint from the woods and throw a big rock. And so I figured out there's no way it could have been him. And a few days later, one of the buddies went back up to that spot with me, and we saw broken branches, and we actually got down to that rock. Couldn't even budge it. Big rock. And prior to this incident, I didn't even give Bigfoot a thought. I mean, I was not a Bigfoot hunter at all. So after that incident happened, several years went by. I had moved to Yakima and then back to Parkdale, and years have gone by, and I wanted to get ready for ski season. And so this is a whole other deal. This was actual sighting. I was getting ready for ski season, so I was running a whole lot, but it was like really cold temperatures, and I was working. I'm a nurse, and I was working night shift at the time, so most of what I did at the time was during the night. And so I bundled all up, got my powerful headlamp on, and got the 2 dogs. And we took off on the road, and I had like a 4-mile loop that I was doing at the time. And part of it was down a secluded trail that only the locals around here know, that kind of winds through a forest and through a clear cut and then down onto the middle fork of the Hood River. That summer leading up to this, I had seen bears down there standing up on their back legs and then running off. And actually a couple times I've seen that down there. And even on my own property, I came face to face with a cougar within arm's reach of a cougar trying to eat one of my cats. And so I've seen eyes up close of these animals, and I have those images imprinted on my brain. And so as I set off on this cold run, I mean, it was cold, -5, I think. And this is what they filmed. The Finding Bigfoot TV show came out and filmed me on, was this encounter. It was amazing. As I take off and I get to the trail part and wind down through the clear cut, and then you kind of go back in the trees, and then the trail bends right near the river. I had my powerful headlamp on, and the dogs were panting, and I had pushed them pretty hard, and all they wanted to do was lay down. And so I never smelt anything, but a set of eyes caught my attention on the other side of the river. And I'm on the outward bend of the river, and he was on the inside bend on the shallow side, and my side was probably 5 feet deep of water, really swift and just ice cold water, nothing anybody would want to touch. And I stop. Dogs are panting, and I gave them a break, and I'm staring at these set of eyes, and it's probably 25 yards upstream of me on the inside bend. And the more I stare at these eyes, I bet 10 seconds goes by when I realize that these eyes are not on a bush, that they're not right off the ground, that they're quite a ways off the ground, because I kind of see the reflection of the water in relation to the eyes. And these eyes were close together, and the color that I have in my brain is this yellowy, like reddish color, big eyes. And what blows my mind is, I see it coming towards me, and immediately I'm like, well, what kind of animals walk towards a human being with 2 dogs? And I couldn't think of one. I see bears down there, and I've come upon bears before, and they run off. They're running in the opposite direction immediately. That cougar I saw ran off in the other direction, deer, elk, and this thing is coming towards me. And what's crazy is this is not just a flat river. There's boulders, tons of boulders in there, and very swift. And it's weird. It was almost like it was floating across this river. It was just very easy moving and there were, in the middle of this river was a tree that was uprooted, so it was leaning on its side, and you could see the roots like faintly with my light that I had on my head, and the eyes. What was crazy is, as it was crossing this river, it never took its eyes off me. It was staring at me, so its head was turned, but it was walking straight. And as it came in front of those upturned roots, I started getting a really good viewpoint of how tall this thing was. I mean, it was 8 plus 9 feet tall, and I started seeing more features like head, shoulders, arms, and it never ever took its eyes off me. And it got into the deep section of the river right towards my side, and it was still staring at me and still moving with ease. And on my side was a 12 to 15 foot 75 to 80 degree pitch embankment. And as it went up this embankment, it probably took 2 steps, and it stared at me. And then it went into the woods. And what I started getting scared about was I was on a dead end trail where I was going to turn around, and it was moving in my direction of the trail. So I started panicking, and I didn't have any kind of gun on me or anything. And the dogs they're both pit bulls, and I don't think their sense of smell is that great. And it was a just very still night where the air wasn't really even moving. So I don't know, we just didn't really smell anything, which I thought was kind of weird afterwards. I thought I might smell. I've heard they're pretty stinky and have a certain odor. I heard a story of your guys recently. Dallas was mentioning a guy named Dallas in Texas, I believe, said that he just couldn't forget the smell. And I just wish I would have smelt something. But I saw the whole body, and I saw eyes, and it stared at me as it went just super easy through this really rough, freezing water, and it didn't even look like it slowed it down at all. And I ended up just hightailing it back out of there. I started getting flashbacks of that boulder thrown at me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So, yeah, that was that incident. And there was actually another one that my wife reminded me of. I for some reason kind of forgot, but of course, it didn't stop me from trail running down there at night. So, but I would bring my pistol with me after that. And I came down that clear cut before the bend one time after this incident, and something was breaking through the brush right near that spot again. And I couldn't see anything. I had a flashlight on, and I was frantic looking all around. I could hear it. It was like all around me, breaking brush and really heavy steps coming down through this hillside, and I couldn't see anything. And I was panicked, looking in every direction, screaming at the dogs, had my gun out.
This will be the last raffle of the night, guys, and we're going to hit the hay, okay? I'm going to keep grinding, but we'll do a credit roll so you guys can go to sleep, okay?
Wanted to start firing, but it didn't. Thank God. And no, it's not good. Just start blasting in some random direction.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to, though.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've been there a couple of times where you want to start shooting, but
yeah,
it's you're right. It's a bad idea in general. How far away from you was this creature as it was looking at you?
25 yards, maybe less.
Oh, wow,
Save
really
you for
close.
Tomorrow night, bet.
Really
and
close.
I've been there many times, and the middle fork of the Hood River has just been just brutal on the embankment, and it has just changed dramatically. So it's hard to go down there and really get a good viewpoint of where it crossed, and that log's gone now. And so,
I wanted to ask you, were the eyes reflecting, or were they?
They were glowing.
Glowing, huh?
Glowing yellow red. Just huge eyeballs, just looking into your soul.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Frightening.
Yeah. And was it kind of an outline, or did you get a better look than just an outline as far as the creature when it was coming at you?
As it got when it was on the shallow side of the river, is an outline. But I mean, I wish I would have seen like muscle groups and features like that, but hair and neck and, you know, head, shoulders, and more upper body.
Did the creature ever vocalize?
No, nope. Didn't do anything of that sort. Didn't make any noise, but was just wild. Was its ease of coming across the river. I've heard stories of people saying it like floated out of the water. And that's what it felt like this happened here, because there are giant boulders out there, and I've heard them roll through that water, and they're huge, and it's not, you can't even walk in the shallow side. I mean, it's so hard, and this it didn't slow it down at all.
Yeah, it's rough country up there. I know exactly where you're at, and it's rough country. I mean, it's really rough country. What did you think you were looking at?
Wooten.
Well, I immediately, you know.
Let's get this winter going. Congratulations, man.
I said that I seen bears standing up down there, and you know, at first I thought that I was looking like at an embankment, or maybe it was like an owl with like a big owl sitting in the trees. But I'm like, there's no bushes right here. There's no trees or anything. It's closer than what I think. These eyes, and then when it started approaching me, I was like, just immediately checking things off that it's not on my list. Because I'm like, I've never been approached like that before.
Yeah, they're pretty ballsy, especially I think when you're by yourself. I think they tend to be more, less afraid. I think if you're in a group of 2 or 3, they tend to back off a little bit. But I think when you're by yourself, I think it's interesting he never took his eyes off you, because you hear a lot of encounters like that when people have chance encounters, they run into them. Yeah. Then when the Sasquatch is leaving, it never really looks away. It never turns. It's kind of interesting. They never really turn their back.
It's hard to do Sasquatch at the same time. You were last raffled at level 322 and 2100 TS. So it's been a little while, man. You've put up some wicked gains.
Back on you.
Nope. That's when this was happening, I was like, why isn't it looking for?
Guys, give Wookie some love for giving up some slots to you guys, man. Really cool. Thanks for raffling, Wooks.
Forward to like see where it's stepping, and never needed to do that. It constantly looked at me when it went up that huge embankment. Its eyes were on me, and I just really started panicking at that moment. I didn't know what to do, and I was looking back the whole time I was running out. I just felt like it was right on my tail, but I don't think it was. My dogs never alerted to anything, but again, I pushed them. I was pushing them really hard, and was in pretty good shape at the time. And it was before the snow came, and it was just ice cold. I mean, we were in the negatives at the time.
Doesn't it make you wonder a little bit about Sasquatch? Do they have like a fat layer like a bear or like a polar bear? Because, you know,
I was thinking that same thing, because it's not fur. That I don't think they have fur. I think they have more hair. So, and I wouldn't think that would be, you know, very insulating, I guess.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, especially up there, because where you're talking about, Matt, when it's -5 up there, it feels like it's -20 up there. It's cold.
Exactly. You got this wind chill factor. Yeah. And it wasn't very windy that night, but it just, it's to the bone. It's cold. Super cold. And that ice cold water didn't even slow it down at all.
Yeah, and you hear them go through that type of water all the time, and it doesn't really seem to affect them. I know up where in Woodland and Yakult, some of those areas, even in the summertime, that water's, well, you know, you live here, even in the summertime, that water's cold. It's too cold to get in.
Yeah.
And
you do not want to touch it.
Yeah. And it's just amazing to me. Did you tell anyone about your encounter? I know this happened back in 2013 when you saw this.
Well, it was funny. I wanted to get my story out there, and I really wanted to, I wanted people to hear it the right way. And so I spent some time and got online and just kind of Google searched a Bigfoot organization where I could give them my story. And I found one, I think it was on BFRO, website, and I typed up this thing, and all I really wanted was someone to read my story, maybe call me on my phone and just ask me some questions. And all of a sudden, one day, it was probably 2014 when I randomly got this phone call one day on my cell phone. I don't normally answer weird numbers, and I just happened to answer it, and it was a associate director or something for the Finding Bigfoot TV show, and they were interested in doing a part out here in the Mount Hood area of Oregon, and were interested in my stories. And they came in, we did the show, and they weren't interested in the rock throwing part, because I didn't wait around and see what was coming down at me, so they didn't really focus on that at all, but I felt like after that show that I needed to get my story out there. It just didn't do it justice.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you sent me the email. I appreciate you coming on. The boulder throwing is interesting. I mean, what can throw a 100+ pound boulder, at you? Yeah. Bears don't throw that. Cougars don't throw that. I doubt a man's going to throw a 100+ pound boulder at you. No one could throw that. And I had a buddy at work who didn't think I was like, he's a mountain biker, and I guess some mountain bike company was doing a spoof on Sasquatch riding a mountain bike out, because it's called Post Canyon, and a bunch of mountain bikers out there and jumps and all kinds of stuff, and he thought it was like him and his buddies like playing a joke on people and throwing rocks. I'm like, dude, there's no way a guy could throw this rock. I couldn't even budget. We had 2 guys trying to move this rock. It was huge. It was a huge rock, and it would have killed us if it hit us. Do you think it was pissed off? Buddy. Do you think it meant to hit you with that boulder? I realize it meant. It did, because we were moving forward. We were walking, and it was weird because that whistling tune it was exactly where that rock came across the trail. And as we were coming back around, we're like, all right, dude, we're done playing. We're done. Come on out, And I wouldn't think that our buddy would go a mile and a half into this trail without jumping out. That's just ridiculous. Never would he ever do that. And so, but we didn't know what it was be. We didn't think Sasquatch at the time. So, yeah. Plus, if you would have thrown that boulder, which I highly doubt, but if you'd have thrown it, you'd been like, "Hey guys, I got you." But even that's kind of a dick move to throw a 100+ boulder at someone, even if you could, Yeah. Throwing that would be like you might kill someone if you hit them. All right, it is 2 a.m., guys. I tell people, this pitch was not. I'm going to keep grinding for a little while, though. So if you want to get some coins, join on in. Very gradual. Just got a leg drop. 10, 15 degree pitch, and there's no way it bounced off something. It was coming horizontal straight across that trail, and we saw it go out over the cliffside and just bounce down. Really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Hit everything, huge crashing sound, and then everything behind that boulder was just breaking and swaying. I don't know if it was actively coming down or just staying there shaking the hell out of the trees and branches. But and that's interesting too, that your friend had noticed the branches and all that stuff shaking, and he thought it was you guys. Yeah. And so we get down in this car, and we're just screaming at each other, just pissed off at one another, yelling, and thinking that sleep, guys. The other was playing tricks on them. So my East Coast friends here. He had his own experience. He said that there was no lights. He heard footsteps through there, and then all of a sudden, huge tree knocks. And we knew nothing about Bigfoot at the time. It was 2006, and we didn't even know. We didn't even give it a thought. And he thought it was us just joking around with him, I don't think so, buddy. Yeah, no kidding. What do you think Bigfoot is, Matt? What's your own personal opinion? I know you're a neighbor here to me in the Pacific Northwest. What's your honest opinion? I think it's just that. I think it's just one of the large hairy guys that we know of, and I just think that they are so comfortable out in nature that they just evade us. They talk to the birds, they talk to the animals, they can interact and communicate, and constantly are aware of what's going on around them. And I don't think much more than that. It's kind of hard to pinpoint what they are, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
How would you describe them? What do you think?
Well, I would say an upright primate. I wouldn't say that they're human. I know a lot of people think that they're
not
human.
at all.
I don't believe that.
No, I don't think they're human.
And I don't necessarily think it's an ape. I don't know what it is because, an ape wouldn't survive out on Hood River in the middle of winter. It just wouldn't. A man wouldn't survive out there alone at a long period of time. And, all the bears are hibernating, all the, and so there's not a whole lot that can survive out there. And the fact that you ran into this thing doesn't surprise me because you hear a lot of encounters where people run into them and it's, especially like in Canada where it's like minus 20 out and they run into it. And it's like, well, where does this thing go to stay warm? They must have some sort of fat layer on them.
Oh, they must. They must.
You're right. The hair wouldn't keep them warm.
No, not at all. I'm known as like the Bigfoot guy at my hospital, and people they always like to ask me questions like, why don't you think it's a person in there? And I'm like, okay, you go put a suit on, you try to go float across a river in minus 5-degree temperatures. And you know what? I think it was that guy Dallas too, who really thought that hoaxes. And, you can't, how do you know someone's going to be in the middle of nowhere at a weird time of day? What do you think? They're just out there waiting? I don't believe in that hoax aspect of it,
Yeah,
like Dallas was like 15 miles way out in the middle of nowhere. How do you know someone was going to be walking through these woods at this time at this weird location? No, it would never happen.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have any way of knowing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And honestly, out here, I know Oregon and Washington are kind of liberal, but you put on a suit, you might get shot out there. There's a lot of country boys out there that might put a bullet in you, and so not only is it highly dangerous, but in your situation, there's just no way. He would have been begging you to warm up, especially crossing that river. If some monkey wasn't, some guy was in a monkey suit. I just don't buy it. But it makes you wonder how they survive. I'm just blown away by, because I know exactly where you're talking about. It's freaking cold in the wintertime up there.
Yeah. We're at the base of Mount Hood. Last year we got 8+ feet of snow, and it's freezing. It's cold, but right now it's starting to warm up. But right now it's 40 degrees outside, and we have a foot of snow on the ground, and it just hangs around. And miserable conditions, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place in the summertime, but that's only 3 months out of the year, and then you got to deal with the rest of it. But
yeah, people ask me how I have so many Bigfoot encounters, and I tell them, you just have to put yourself out there at weird times of the day and weird locations. And I'm like, you are bound to have experiences that are going to be very interesting. Like I was out there trail running on a remote trail at like 10 p.m. at night, and it was minus 5. Not many people are going to be doing that kind of thing. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. And they tend to want to come
out there.
Yeah, I think most of the time, I think your encounter there up towards Mount Hood was more or less a chance encounter. But a lot of time, you're right. If you're out there, they will come out and check out to see what you're doing. And most of the time, they'll see what you're doing. And then the moment you notice them, they'll leave. And that's generally the way it goes. But not always. It's like you said, you run across cougars out here. And if they realize you've seen them, they'll turn and run. Or a bear, if it smells you, they'll turn and run. And for this thing to just kind of go, well, I'm going this way and I'm not going to change my path because you're standing there. I'll just keep my eyes on you and I'll just keep going. That's a little scary, man, because that shows that there's no fear. There's zero fear of humans.
Yep. I feel like Bigfoots are kind of like cougars in a way. People say that you're being stalked 90% of the time you enter the woods. And I feel like Bigfoots are aware of your presence most of the time, and you're probably, maybe not being stalked, but someone's aware that you're there.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think the moment you walk in, I think most wildlife knows you're there. And if they don't know you're there, we got these stupid birds out here. I'm sure you've come across them where they sound the alarm. I used to hate those when I was hunting because anytime I'd go into an area, those stupid birds would sound the alarm, and it's an alarm call. And they'll follow you around and do this alarm call. And it's like, I'm not going to get anything with you up there. I almost want to put a bullet in it, but gotta love
gun on one arm and your rifle on the other.
Yeah. Gotta love nature,
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed the encounter, Matt. Hopefully we did it justice. I know you weren't, You didn't
I think I feel better about how my story's been put out there so far. I feel like I got most of it discussed, and yeah, I feel more at ease.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
It's
it,
good
man.
to talk about.
Yeah, no, it is. It is good to talk about. You know, it's kind of like a weight because it does wear you down after a while when you don't talk about it. But
yeah,
thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
I want to welcome Brad to the show. Brad, thanks for coming on.
Wes, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, I know you're down there in Texas, and he sent the prints. I know if the audience is listening, if they go to SasquatchChronicles.com and go into the vlog section, it was December 17th. I posted Brad's pictures, what made these, and we'll get to that in a moment. I want to talk about, you had an encounter when you were a child, and
yes, sir.
If you would walk us into that. Tell us what you were doing and what did you see?
Yeah, and I think it's important. I was listening to your show today, and one of your callers had one of the portions that she described was describing who she was or her mindset before she had a particular incident, and I thought that was really important, especially in my case, to describe my mindset and the type of guy that I was before this particular incident or these tracks showed up, or in case the incident that happened when I was around 7. I'm 34 years old right now. I was born here in West Texas back in the 80s. This is when the boom was happening. And then back in the 80s, the bottom dropped out. My brother and my family had to move to Georgia. And that's basically where we grew up until we were about 18 to 20 years old. And growing up in Georgia, we had the woods as our backyard and the rivers and a lot of playgrounds in our backyard, basically the rivers and the caves and the whatnot. And we of course, my brother is the more when it comes to nature or science, that's the guy that I learned from, and he's kind of my idol, and he taught me everything I needed to know. And I'm no self-proclaimed tracker or scientist, or in your case, in your listeners, you got guys who devote themselves to studies and the hunting down of these encounters / paranormal. And my brother finally got me onto your show about 3 or 4 months ago. My brother is a believer in all of it. He is Bigfoot, dogmen, paranormal, UFOs. That's the type of guy my brother is. He's the Fox Mulder of the relationship. I'm more of the lack of better terms, I'm the Dana Scully of the two. Yeah. I'm pretty based in reality, and if I can't prove it on facts, then I don't believe in it. And I was really apprehensive about telling this story. My brother only learned about it about a year or two ago. And at first, he didn't believe it either until he got onto your show and he started hearing more testimonials about quote unquote dogmen. I hate that name. I think there should be a better name established for dogmen, but it is what it is. So right now, after growing up in Georgia, I moved out here to West Texas. I work out in the oil field, and I'm in a town of about 11,000 people. I did get married, and I had kids, and I went through a pretty brutal divorce, and we'll start getting into the divorce details. This kind of plays into the person that I actually am. With this divorce, I got into severe anxiety and depression, especially, and I treated it with alcohol. But it was kind of a godsend because I don't want to say it's a godsend, but it is what it is. But going through outpatient care and getting connected to counselors and psychiatrists, this plays off into the story in a minute. But they were able to help me out with my problems, and I got through the divorce. And luckily and happily today, I'm a thriving, healthy adult and a father, and I'm doing good out in the oil field. This happened December 10th, Sunday. I was laying in bed and I'm typing away on a Facebook Messenger, talking to somebody, And around, I tried to get a screenshot of what time it was. I would want to say it's 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. The coyotes around here, I'm on the very outskirts of this 11,000 population town, and I've got 4 or 5 acres to play on. And the coyotes start wailing. They're closer than usual. If you imagine 4 or 5 acres surrounded with, a 4 or 5 wire, barbed wire fence, and the coyotes never really cross the fence. The coyotes start going to wailing, and this is no really ever a cause for concern because it happens, every other day. Nothing that ever spooks me. Finished typing away, and I was even the person I was texting. I was like, oh God, the coyotes are going crazy tonight. Finished that conversation. 30 minutes later, I'm going, I have to get on a plane to Tulsa the very next morning, and I've got to go out to my work truck, and I have to grab my laptop bag. I have to do an inventory. I got to make sure that I'm good to go for this trip. The only thing I grabbed, and typically when I go anywhere, it's outside on the property or to the post office or wherever I'm going, 7-Eleven, I'm usually armed. I keep a Smith & Wesson Shield 45 on me. Today I'm going, you know what, I'm walking to my front yard, no big deal. I walk outside, and I have a pen light in my hand, leave my front door, walk out the gated front area, open the gate, start walking to my truck, and I've got the pen light focused on the ground. Of course, being in West Texas, you're always watching the ground. You don't know whether you're always on the lookout for rattlesnakes. The sun's going down, so your pavement or your patio is still warm. You want to keep an eye out where you're walking. So I've got this pen light focused on the ground. The walk to the truck is probably, I'm looking at the truck right now, 40 yards. Start walking to the truck, and then while I'm walking, I stop dead cold. I've seen my footprints. I've seen my dog's footprints. And then I see a set of footprints that stops me dead in my tracks. And I tried to, and instantly I knew, I was like, I've got to, because my father-in-law's inside, and maybe he knows what this is, but I instantly knew that, okay, this is weird. This is not normal. This is not something I see every day, that I needed to take a picture. So I grabbed my iPhone, and I put my left foot beside one of the footprints for comparison. I knew that had to be important, no matter who saw it, whether it be my brother or friends, because I was going to reach out to the people that live out here probably longer than I have and see if they knew what that was. So I put my left foot out, and I snapped a picture. And then it really dawned on me. I mean, I know I've been out here maybe 13 years. I know my animals in West Texas. Your predominant predators are out here: coyotes, bobcats, the occasional mountain lion, but the mountain lions are usually more further south towards the Big Bend or Fort Davis area. What I saw was an animal with 4 toes on both paws, but it kind of, at first I'm going, okay, this is not my dog. My dog's an 80-pound Labrador. At first I was going raccoon. But again, I live 40 miles near the nearest body of water. And the nearest body of water is a nature trail in Midland, Texas. I've seen thousands of raccoon prints. You can definitely tell they almost have a handprint like a human. What this print is something that I have never seen, honestly, in my life. That kind of, at that point when I saw this, and we'll fast forward, but when I saw this, hell yes, I ran to my truck. I was spooked at that point. This was the time that I walked to my truck and I wasn't armed. And I grabbed my laptop bag and I tore butt back into the house. First thing I do was walk into the house. My ex-father-in-law is sitting there, and I'm like, "Do you know what this is?" And he's taken aback. He's like, kind of looked like a raccoon, but in the 40 years he's lived in this town, being nowhere near a body of water, that's not raccoon. He's just as confused as I am at this point, and just as concerned. He owned this house. He moved here a couple of years ago. He's had smaller dogs, Pomeranian size. ripped through the fence. If you look at my house or an aerial view of my house is, it's your typical fenced in property, but we've had animals rip through the fence. We'll walk out in the morning, the dog's gone, and all you see is the fence is bent in on the bottom a little bit and tufts of fur. To me, being the guy based in reality, this is totally indicative to the behavior of a coyote. That's how I passed it off. I'm like, this is coyotes. They're on the property. You shouldn't have a small dog out here. And basically that's what happens. Now I've got a 80-pound a Labrador, and he lives out here perfectly fine and happy. But if you picture my dog is, if you ever seen the movie, Funny Farm, my dog is Yellow Dog. My dog is he's entirely too lazy. He doesn't get up. He's aware of the coyotes. It doesn't bother him. He's aware of the 30 to 40 head of cow that surrounds the property. Doesn't bother him. But at times we'll be out here around our fire pit, and you're sitting down, you're relaxing, you're having good conversation, you're having a beer, and all of a sudden this lazy dog stands up and he begins his growl. And to hear my dog, who's the laziest thing you can possibly imagine, start growling, that's cause for concern. It's only happened recently within the past 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 2-3 times, that he has stood up and the hair on his back is prickled up. And when you're sitting down beside a fire in the dead of night and there's no moon, and all of a sudden your dog is standing up and is growling, that gets you kind of concerned. Fast forward back to these prints. When I saw these prints, it took me back to when I was 7. The only person that has ever known about the encountered, quote unquote, I guess the term that your listeners use. I was 7 years old, and I come out here for summer trips to visit my grandparents in a town called Midkiff. Midkiff was designed to be around a natural gas plant called El Paso Natural Gas Plant. My grandfather was the manager there. What happened was, one day I walk outside, and it's got to be summertime, so I know that the sun is going down about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And I remember walking outside, and I walked onto the sidewalk. Now, this is a place that was designed to house workers. It's a very close-knit community. We had a dog, another Labrador named Maggie, and the neighbors had a dog, big bulldog. I don't know what you call that breed, a larger bulldog named Max. I walk out onto the sidewalk, and I hear the familiar click-clack of what I automatically assume to be either Maggie or the neighbor's dog, Max. I turn around, and in front of me is, for lack of a better term, it's a creature. It's a critter. It's not Maggie. It's not Max. But this thing is standing up on 2 legs. And I've heard your callers describe, quote unquote, dogmen as these big 6 foot, 7 foot creatures, these hulking shoulders, just a huge creature. What was in front of me was not a huge creature, polar opposite. I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and that's what I equate the size to. This creature was probably 4 feet tall. And I remember being at about 9 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun's going down in the west. So the sun is shining in my face, and it's illuminating a silhouette. What stuck out to me was, number one, the ears. To this day, 34 years old, the ears. Doberman Pinscher, German Shepherd-like. I remember the ears standing totally vertical. I remember seeing the hair around its shoulders. I remember seeing its arms. The arms were exactly like a human's. I'm talking about silhouette-wise, the way it would stand. If you're standing just facing somebody, that's exactly what its arms. It was at rest. It wasn't in any provocative or threatening position. It was just standing there, like it walked up on me, didn't expect me to be there. And then it's staring at me. I'm staring at it. We don't, either one of us know what to do. And I remember seeing it when it breathed, definitely on two legs, standing up, standing vertical, breathing. The breathing wasn't ragged. It wasn't breathing like my lab would do, and this heavy breathing, but up and down, seeing its shoulders rise. And as a 7-year-old, I don't know why I reacted the way I reacted. I mean, any normal adult, facing something unknown or something as terrifying as that would have turned around, screamed, yelled, and tore ass out of the situation. But being 7, I stared at it for a good 30 to 40 seconds. And then I called the neighbor's dog. My first instinct was, I don't know why, my first instinct was, it's not Maggie. Maggie's inside the house with my grandparents, that this is the neighbor's dog, Max. And I called its name, and it did not move. And we're talking proximity-wise, 3 to 4 feet. Danger close. When I called its name, no reaction. And then I remembered that Max is this big, I don't know the breed. It's a bulldog. I mean, if you watch the show Homeward Bound, it's that damn white bulldog, but its ears aren't vertical. And that's the only thing that brought me back to reality is this is not the neighbor's dog. And once that, cleared my mind, a 7-year-old's mind, I basically clicked my heels, dead in about face, and through my brother's knowledge and teachings is I walked back inside. I don't know how I did that. If you're a terrified 7-year-old, you're gonna bolt. But I knew that if I ran, in my gut, I knew that I was going to trigger some chase reaction. I turned. I didn't look around. I walked onto the sidewalk, walked right up into the pathway, right up the stairs, and back into my home. I don't, and unfortunately, the details are not there. And through my divorce and going through alcohol treatment and severe anxiety and depression disorder, I've gotten in contact with several outpatient care centers and counselors and psychiatrists. And to this day, I remain really good friends with a lot of them. And I've sat around and I've talked to them, and I foolishly, I'm always apprehensive. The only person that's ever known about the story is my brother Mike. One day I let the truth go, and I told this memory to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist threw out words like dissociative amnesia or repressed memories. And excuse me, I'm battling a cold here. Repressed memories. I started doing more research on that, and I'd have to tend to agree with repressed memories. As a 7-year-old, seeing something like that, or something that frightened you, or an individual like that, that is the body's way of defending yourself. If it's something so traumatic, that's how the body's going to take care of itself. I can remember the silhouette. I can remember the arms, and that's about it. And sadly, and I ran this little experiment with my daughter. My daughter's 7 now. And a few days before I even contacted you, I ran through the same little quote unquote simulation with her. I had her face or stand in the west, and around 9:30, it's summertime, sun's going down, and I had her face me, and absolutely no problem. I can make out every detail of her little face, her beautiful little face. And to this day, I can't make out those details of the thing I saw. Whatever I saw, I'm convinced that it was so bad or traumatizing that to this day, there's my dog. He's wailing at something. That's another subject. To this day, that I don't want to remember what I saw. The only thing that really sticks out today is hearing your listeners talk about these giant dog men, quote unquote. I've never heard one of your listeners describe a smaller version of this animal. And it makes sense. They have to start off small sooner or later, and they grow up into, possibly these larger creatures. But then you have to take into account the prey that is available the resources that are available in West Texas. If you grow up in West Texas, you know that the tallest tree is probably 7 feet tall if it wasn't imported. But we have plenty, thanks to the bust and the mini busts that we've had out here in the oil field. There are plenty of abandoned structures, abandoned buildings, deep caliche pits with these little miniature caves dug inside in the side. Prey is very scarce out here. So whatever's growing out here has to survive off the cats, the dogs, the jackrabbits. That's basically it when you're coming to prey, and birds.
It's no, you're right. I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about not being able to remember the face. That is a real thing. I think when we get traumatized or we're in terror or we're in fear, a lot of times people can't remember details. They can't remember, like you not being able to remember the face. That makes sense to me as a 7-year-old. I wanted to ask you, was it on 2 legs the whole time, or did it ever go down to 4 legs?
No, it was on 2 legs. The thing wasn't, I would have passed it off for a dog or a fox or a coyote or some other creature like that. Absolutely 6 inches taller than a 7-year-old. Absolutely. I remember being smaller than it. And remember, the real detail that I can see, honest to God, besides the ears, are the shoulders. The shoulders. This is not something wearing a shirt. This is not something that was smooth. This is something that had fur, but wasn't panicking. It wasn't in a state of anxiety. It was breathing as though, FYI, I was coming across wherever I was going, and I saw this child, and I stopped, and I'm checking it out, and its breathing was very relaxed, but very definitive. I remember seeing the haunches on its shoulders rise up and down in a very relaxed state. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I didn't absolutely lose my mind. I mean, if you saw something that was standing in front of you panting and breathing heavily, maybe I would have had a different reaction. But whatever it was in such a calm state that maybe it calmed me down.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. I wanted to ask you also, going back to those prints, and I'll post a picture of them underneath this episode for the audience to look at. They do look like a raccoon, but if that's a raccoon, that's the biggest raccoon I've ever seen in my life.
It is. If that is a raccoon with my foot, I got my foot is 12 inches. If that is a raccoon, that is a raccoon with a 6 or 7 inch foot. You know what? If I find him, I'll bag him, and I will gladly post pictures of him and maybe get in Guinness. But I can guarantee you, with the lack of water being in this area, this is not a raccoon. This is not my dog. This is not a coyote. This is and I didn't even want to get on the show and talk about it. It's very unnerving. But whatever this creature is definitely a biped. If you look at the pictures, this thing basically walked on 2 legs. The footprints were side by side. So whatever it did after the coyotes left, or maybe it scared the coyotes off, I don't know. Whatever it did, it was basically, it stopped in that one position. This had to be, I don't know, an hour after I've got off that stupid messenger and heard the coyotes going off. But it stood there. And to this day, I talked to you not too long ago, and when you contacted me the first time, I was out searching my entire property. I just tilled a field. I'm searching my entire property for the same tracks. I'm not finding them. I have game cameras set up on the 4 corners of my property. Unfortunately, all 3 of them are turned off. This is when I was actually trying to bait coyotes because we heard them so much, and I was trying to track them with a DJI drone. Well, I'm not. I've got a few videos on YouTube of me tracking these things, but I haven't seen anything since. The only game camera I've had up recently is I've got a trap out. We won't say what we're trapping, but we've got a trap out. But this trap has been not the trap, but the tripod that this particular game camera has been knocked over. I'm looking at it. I'm in my truck right now. I'm looking at it right now. I've since put it back on its feet. I haven't pulled the SD card. And it sounds kind of funny from a guy who just saw 2 strange tracks a week ago. And if you saw something like that, well, the majority of listeners are like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to run off and grab this SD card out of a game cam, and hopefully I'm going to see something. Well, That's not my mindset. I'm really based in reality, and honest to God, I don't want to see what's on this game camera. I really don't. I'm hoping I see the wind blowing up and it blew a tripod over. I don't want to know. I'm perfectly happy going back to living in my own ignorance of this thing not being out here. But I'm telling you, whatever's out here in this small town in the outskirts of West Texas, it's not a dog, it's not a coyote, and it walks on two legs. And I don't know where to go from here. I'm scared to actually pull that game camera footage. I know I will with the encouragement of my brother. He'll just give me hell until I actually pull these. But I'm actually hoping I don't find anything on this camera, sir.
Yeah, well, I can understand that too. Please take a look at it, though, at least for me, and let me know if you find anything out there. And be really careful on that property. I don't know what those tracks are. It does look very canine, and it looks like if it is canine, that's the biggest canine print I've ever seen. And it's very odd. It's a very odd print.
We've got some. The only other place that I can, in the back of my mind, is since I've talked to my brother Mike and I've talked to you. If you had to, in the back of my mind, the only place that I'm thinking is where this thing could reside. And I've done so many flyovers of this flat terrain. The only place this thing could actually reside, if I was a predator and I wanted someplace to reside, is the land I'm on has the original farmstead about 300-400 yards behind my house. I can definitely send pictures later of this farmstead. It's dilapidated. It's a ruin. The cellar is caved in. The roof is caving in, and it's got a tin roof. And I actually baited that. We had some old meat inside the freezer. It's probably been sitting there for a year, and I've baited that area. And several other areas. I tried to bait all four corners of the yard, trying to get these game cameras set up and catching coyotes. I just want to get the coyotes on camera. But the one area behind the house is the original farmstead, the original house. And every time I throw meat into this particular section, it goes untouched. That doesn't happen anywhere else around the property. It's definitely the meat will be picked off by coyotes, rodents. We have plenty of owls around here. I'm not sure if into the meat thing, but this is the only area that if I threw meat out, that it goes spoiled. Nothing approaches this area. There's my dog again. He is not having whatever's happening out here.
Well, I'd be first to go check that area out. Go armed, but go and check that area out.
Yeah, you're a braver man than I am. Again, I'm so I'm not your target audience. I listen to the show as my brother got me onto it, and I listen to it I like to pick apart stories, and and I don't try to be disrespectful to you or your listeners, but I like to sit there and pick apart some of these stories. But I've heard other stories from other people that the details are so vivid that I really can't discredit them. And here I am telling a story that is so lacking in details. And my brother says, you know what, dude, you need to contact Wes. There's plenty of people that have had encounters with either, Sasquatch, skunk ape, dogmen, where the thing just simply ran across the road. And maybe, the thing's not ripping down my door, and it's not a dramatic story, and it's not something that's going to raise the hairs in the back of your neck. But he said that there were people out there that would definitely be interested in hearing my story. And I finally bit the bullet. I wanted to get this out, and I wanted to get this off my chest. And now my next step is going to these counselors and psychiatrists and see if we can break through that barrier of repressed memories. I really don't want to, but my friends and my brother feel that it's important that whatever I saw, it comes to light. And maybe I can share that story. I don't know. I'm really apprehensive, but that's just where I'm at today.
No, well, I appreciate you coming on, Brad. Let's talk more offline regarding this, and we'll have to do an update if there's anything there. But I appreciate you sharing the encounter when you were a kid. I know the details aren't there, and it impresses me that you'd be willing to come on and sharing it and knowing that. But again, it doesn't shock me a whole lot because, I think like when we get terrified, man, your dog's going off. When we get,
he's not liking it.
You might want to check on that. When we get terrified though, I I could see how you would repress that. If it was a terrifying face, or especially at 7 years old, I can definitely understand that. But I appreciate you coming on. Thank you again.
Wes, I greatly appreciate you having me on. And as much as I hate to admit it, I may not be believing in Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but there are definitely things out there that I am slowly come to terms with that cannot be explained. And they are out here in the desert of West Texas. And I'm hoping that I can hear feedback from more of your listeners that maybe live in this area and could possibly shine or help me out understanding this situation. I mean, if you have a story or something like this, I definitely want to hear it. I need that kind of support. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time to have me on this show.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Well, I want to welcome Kate to the show. Kate, thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being here. If you would, tell us about this encounter. I know it happened in Oregon, kind of near Lapine. If you would, how many years ago was this? And would you just kind of walk us into what you saw that day?
Sure. The encounter happened up up in the Boiguh Reservoir area, and on a National Guard field training exercise. We were out there for a couple weeks. It was right around, I believe it was like the middle of May. So my responsibility was to set up a 75-foot antenna that was connected to the radio van. And those vans are pretty big. They're like 5-ton radio vans. I mean, this is when they were communicating on, D and C channels, I believe.
Yeah, was this back in the 70s?
Yeah. 77.
Old school technology, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally different now.
Yeah.
So there was like 5 of us that were assigned to this site, and this is off of a dirt gravel road that goes in quite a ways, and so we've got everything set up, the tents and the cooking area, and then above the campsite, the radio van was sitting, and of course the 75-foot antenna was up, and then that there's a generator and there's like ground wires and whatnot, and so it was at that point where we're just supposed to be monitoring to see if anyone calls in on the radio. Someone's going to be stationed in the radio van to receive that call because it's a training exercise. So someone was always going to be monitoring the radio van. I think it was a Thursday night, and we had just probably cooked, or there was a barbecue. So they were having barbecues every night and cooking, and there was a Polynesian gentleman that was cooking some pretty exotic teriyaki ribs and just really outrageous, food. And so that particular night, there was just 3 of us there, and my other guards, lady and gentleman that were there. They were down in the tent or just messing around in camp, doing whatever they were doing. I know that the one lady was reading a book called How Not to Worry by Dale Carnegie. And that was just one of the things that had stuck in my mind over the years. And that the other guards person was just this kind of like really like a 5'5" guy, and real slender, just really nice guy. And so they're down there in the camp, and I'm up. Kind of just been a long day, and I just kind of gotten everything situated because I was just going to sleep in the radio van because, it's like a box on a truck is what it is,
Yeah.
And so just settled into the sleeping bag, just waiting for someone to radio in. I'm just relaxing. The sun, it has just kind of gone down enough, so it's like that moment when it gets dark, kind of still light, but kind of dark. And I was laying there and I felt the radio van moving, like just ever so slightly back and forth, but I couldn't imagine it because it was like a heavy truck, and I couldn't imagine what was doing that. So I'm like, oh God, I've got to get up and see what's going on. And so I got up, and when I looked out the door, and this is a really thick door, I mean, it's this heavy duty vehicle, and I looked out the door because the door was open, and I looked across to where the antenna was, and I saw a creature that was in my mind at that time, because I'm just kind of like, oh my God, what is that? And what I thought it was doing was pulling on the ground wire to the antenna and trying to drag the radio van into the tree line, which was like, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 feet out, from where the van was. And I just, let out a blood-curdling scream. And that was the one thing about listening to your chronicles, is that I had always thought maybe that's what it was doing, because I could still feel the van moving while I'm looking at it. And then listening to your show and the people's encounters that they have had, that maybe it was swaying back and forth, and that there was maybe one in the front of the van kind of moving the truck back and forth. I thought of that. And so I don't know, maybe I just had thought that for so many years, that it was pulling on the wires that connected it to the van. And so the people down in camp, the gentleman came running up the hill and like, what's wrong, Private? And I'm like, I just saw Bigfoot. And the little lady down in the tent totally like just flipped out. And we were all in the radio van and she was like, call a command center and you get someone out here right now, and no, they didn't know how to use the radio, or to communicate. They didn't know how to communicate on the van, and I was the one that had to do it. And I was so dreading it because they were just going to think we were just all out of our minds, So I'm just like, oh my gosh. And she's freaking out in this, really tight little area inside the van, and he's in there. And we're just like, we don't know what to do. I'm just like, oh my God. And so we did finally call, and tell them that we had just seen that, or that I had just seen that, and that, they were freaking out. And I was just like, oh my God. So it was like 45 to an hour before they got there. We didn't have any vehicles or anything. We were just kind of stuck there, the three of us. And so they came there, and, there was like 5 people that came. And I was questioned immediately, and they calmed the other people down. And so that was basically it. That's what happened that day.
What did your superiors say after you told them what you saw, what was shaking the van?
They wanted to know if I had ever, basically, fainted, or if, did, I maybe see things that weren't there. And I'm like, no, I really saw that. That really happened. But I was in shock. So everything was like in slow-mo, but I know that 3 other people went out looking, I remember their flashlights, because it's pretty dark by now, and, but I got questioned by a warrant officer. I do remember that. And it was just so embarrassing, because it was like I was forced to, this is the last thing I want to, have to say someone, because they all think you're crazy. But basically, I was forced into, just having to tell all these people. And the company commander came out too. And it was like they were like 60 miles away because the radio vans were, like 4 or 5 of them, and they were set 30 miles apart. So we could all communicate. I was stationed out of the 1249th Engineer Battalion out of Salem, Oregon. It was just an exercise that we were doing, but we were out there for like 2 weeks, and so that was the experience. And
terrifying, isn't it? When you're in a van like that, you feel like almost like a trapped mouse sometimes in situations like that.
Oh yeah, you do. You just don't feel like there's anywhere that any which way you could go. But I was definitely not getting out of the van.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I wanted to ask you, for the audience listening, can you describe what you saw?
Sure. The sun was behind. There was enough sunlight behind this creature, and I'm going to say creature, but I think there. Once I had done a drawing, someone suggested doing a drawing of what I saw, and when I went to draw it, I realized that there was another one behind him, and but the one that I saw was like, I'm not real good, and like I said, it was like about 30 feet away. It was all brown. And I could see from the sunlight shining through that it was all hairy, the hair hanging off the arms. And I was able to I focused on the mouth and the eyes, basically. But I want to say it was like 7.5, maybe 8 foot. I mean, that's my best estimation that I, have come up with. That's what it seemed like, And so, but the face was like... the mouth was what really kind of just totally freaked me out, because it was like grimacing and smirking at the same time. And then, like I said, that's probably what it was doing, was swaying back and forth between the trees, because they were really kind of tight together and he was in between them. But I knew that it wasn't a human being. It was... so quiet, though. It was like it made no noise. I mean, it's pretty quiet out there, and you would think with all the pine needles and scrub brush and everything that's laying around, you would hear them. But I didn't hear a thing, and I didn't have a radio, like listening to any music or anything like that. I was just laying on the floor in the radio van, trying to go to sleep until they called, or radioed in. But
that's interesting. It almost makes you wonder. There had to have been another one actually pushing on the van, and you probably just saw the one standing there.
Yes. That's what I believe.
Yeah, because it would make more sense, that, and it makes you wonder if they were sitting there watching you all day and wanted you to come back out. Or I almost think that kind of behavior. I want to be careful using the word playful, but I think it's more playful, like come back out, and it makes you wonder if they'd been watching you guys all day.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because we were right next to, we were a little bit up from the lake, and I had actually been out on the lake just, on an air mattress. We were just like, all of our work was done, so we were just, recreation time, so I thought that because I would get up early in the morning and just take a little walk up the trail, and just, get ready for the day, and always kind of felt like, this is weird. You get this weird feeling, but it was so beautiful up there, and you just don't think of it like, you just push it off like, maybe I'm just being, too sensitive or
paranoid.
Something.
Yeah. No, I get it. Sometimes though, you want to listen to that, but this wasn't the only time you had seen these creatures. You had run into them before, hadn't you, Kate, when you were younger?
Yeah. So when I was younger, fishing with my parents, and this is up in the, going towards Oak Ridge area, the dam. There's a couple dams, there's Dexter, and then there's Hills Creek. this was, back in '66, and just fishing on the lake with my parents, and just happened to look over and see, 3 creatures at the water's edge just doing something, and I couldn't tell what they were doing, but they were larger than you would think, that, the distance that we were out on the lake and what, human beings would be. So, but they were, different sizes. That was the weird thing. I thought, oh, that's just, a family or something. But I just, in my mind, just thought, those, I couldn't rationalize what they were. I didn't know what they were. I knew that they were large and they were doing something. And I don't know if my parents saw it or not. If they did, they didn't say anything. But yeah, so that did happen.
Yeah, and you were thinking they were just people at that time. I was reading your email. You thought mud people, and I guess in a child's mind you might think that, especially if were these things brown? Is that why you were saying mud people?
Yeah, because they were just completely brown head to toe. I mean, it was really, bright outside. You could see you could see good enough that they were just like completely brown and quite large from, like I said, from the distance that we were at in the middle of the lake fishing in a boat, so, yeah. Very, very strange. I just thought, oh, those are the mud people over there. I wonder what they're doing, just a little kid's mind. Yeah. So,
yeah. And so I guess I could kind of see why you wouldn't really alert your parents. I mean, in a child's mind, you probably just think, oh, that's strange. There's a couple of people over, a couple weird looking people over there. So I would imagine it didn't alarm you. I guess maybe I'm speaking for you. I'm listening to your encounter. Maybe it didn't alarm you, I guess, being a child, thinking it was people.
No, because I didn't, I really didn't, I knew that we were probably going to be going over to that side. We were going to, just be out there fishing. We weren't going anywhere near there, so I guess I wasn't concerned. And, it's just like, you accept things, I guess, easier when you're a kid, like, oh, I wonder what that is. Oh, okay, so. Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense,
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think Sasquatch is, Kate? What's your honest opinion?
I really believe that there's some form of, or a descendant from maybe some humanoid crossbred with ape-like creature, for sure. I mean, they do have a face that's it has motion in it, but it's animalistic too. I mean, I can't imagine anything else. I mean, I know a lot of people have different opinions and stuff of what they could be, like, that they're aliens and, they're populating the world and we just don't know it. And, they're going to rise up and like Planet of the Apes or something, but I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I just know that they're large and they're very stealthy. And, a good way to draw them in is like being out in the woods and not being aggressive, hunting or fishing, like if you just hang out in your camp and you're just cooking exotic things and you're, I think there was one gentleman there for a couple of days that was smoking a pipe and, other exotic smells and being kind of non-aggressive and just like what we were doing. We were just, we were just there, just, setting up a camp and, doing stuff, basically like taking care of the camp and getting firewood and I guess non-aggressive. None of it was aggressive behavior, being stalking anything, So I think that draws them in because they're curious. They don't understand why are you in the woods,
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I think most encounters happen when people are camping or when people are hiking or when they're just doing their normal thing. I think that's a lot of times, most encounters happen that way. They'll either it's a chance encounter where you run into it, or they move in to check out what you're doing. And I would say a lot of encounters, more than just chance encounters, more encounters happen when they come in to see what you're doing. And so you're right. I tend to agree with you.
And this area has, a multitude of trails and little dirt roads into a reservoir that's, was anyway, very plentiful with, fish and the, biodiversity of plants and edibles, and then game, of course, so I think that draws them in, because they have to drink water, too. So, I think they go there a lot.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
No, and you're right. You tend to find them around tributes, water tributes, and these little that run into lakes. And you're right, they are found around water. That's a fascinating account, especially the one in 1977, that shaking of the trailer. You hear a lot of accounts like that today.
Well, like they're interested in large machinery and like what it does. They're just all over the place, probably. We just don't know about it. And they're just very good at hiding and, staying out of our, radar, sort of. They're much smarter than what people probably think. And
yeah, I tend to agree. It's,
really?
Yeah, you hear a lot of that on the show with witnesses like yourself who come forward, and you can get some of the behavior and kind of what they do and why they do it. And there's a good reason to stay away from us. We're dangerous. And so I don't blame them for staying away from us. I think they're dangerous too, but
I do.
Not always. Not every encounter is going to be a vicious encounter. Right. There's a lot of encounters where you see curiosity. There's a lot of encounters where they just want to observe to see what you're doing. And then there's other encounters that are very vicious, very violent. So it's kind of hit and miss. But I'm glad that your encounter wasn't that way. And I know it was several years ago, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing it.
Oh, sure, Wes. Yeah, I know. I think your program's great, and I think it helps a lot of people like share their feelings and not be, made to feel like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and so I really appreciate your Sasquatch Chronicles a lot. So.
Well, thank you, Kate. I appreciate it.
Sure, Wes. Sure. And good luck with the show, and I'll be listening.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay. Have a good one, Wes.
You too. And that's it for tonight, everyone. Remember, if you've had an encounter, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. I will see you guys in 2018. This is the final show for the year. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you guys nothing but the best, and I will see you guys next time.